Hello again, everybody, and I hope you are very well and in good health. And we will continue with the 100 verses of advice from Padampa Sangye. I'm not doing the full text, just little sort of snippets here and there. But they are, like I said, they are very useful reminders of how to focus our mind during everyday life, what is important, and how to bring ourselves back to the Dharma. So what Padampa Sangye said is, life is so ephemeral, like the dew on the grass. People of dignity, don't yield to laziness and indifference. So again, Padampa Sangye is reminding us of impermanence, and we really have so many reminders around us also at the moment during the COVID lockdown of impermanence and fragility of life. We have heard that more than 100,000 people have died in the UK now due to COVID. Of course, many more people have died in this last year, but of COVID alone, 100,000 people have died. From the start, nobody knew who those 100,000 people were going to be. Old or young, healthy or ill already, strong or weak. I think there have been, amongst all these different groups of people, someone has died, close ones, that it is not just a number for many, many people. It has become names where we know somebody close who have died. So we can put a name to those many people, not just a number. It shows us how fragile life is. Like Padampa Sangye says here, it is so ephemeral, like the dew on the grass. Dew on the grass, we know in the mornings it is there, by midday it is gone. The sun comes out and the dew is gone, the mist is gone, a little early morning, little sort of droplets on the blades of grass are evaporated. So like that, our lives are so fragile. We don't know what is going to cause our own death or those around us, those close to us. But we know at some point it's going to end. So we should not be overwhelmed by worry about that. The point of contemplating impermanence is not that we all become terrified and we cannot move anymore because we are so afraid of death. It is more to become familiar with this fact of life, that it all comes to an end. And when we are familiar with that, then we put more effort into making something good of what we've got. If you see or observe people who know they're going to die soon, such as people who may have they've been told they have terminal cancer or other illnesses. They may have been told they have a few months left to live. After the initial shock and upset, there is a surge of appreciation and love for everything that arises in people, in most people, that certainly in Dharma practitioners that I have seen, that they appreciate every moment in life. They become more alive. So by knowing we are going to die, we become more alive. That is the function, I think, of contemplating impermanence and death. We become more alive and we become more appreciative and more positive. We don't get so caught up in all the little trivial sort of silly things that one can otherwise get caught in. Trivial little arguments and petty little judgments that really don't mean anything in the bigger scheme of things. When we have the bigger view, then all of that falls away. So if we can remember impermanence, remember that our life is short, it is not worth wasting time on small little things, just let it go, move on. It becomes easier for us to move on and then apply ourselves diligently to positive and meaningful dharma practice and dharma application. Now when we say dharma practice, that means everything that's being positive in our life, applying the teachings to all of our life as much as we possibly can. But here, Padamba Sangha is saying, don't yield to laziness and indifference. Indifference, we can easily just, enter a sort of a state where we just glide along with whatever is happening and we don't care too much one way or the other. We become indifferent. We don't act. We don't put an effort to direct things into a positive, on a positive path. So that's what Padamba Sangha is warning us about. Don't let that happen in your life. Try and make the most of the time. Be alive, be appreciative. Do what you can. We may not be saints. We are not saints, none of us. We are not Buddhas. We are not perfect. Don't expect that of yourself, but still try and do your best. Try and recognize that by doing your best, you are initially the one who really benefits in the first place, in the first instance. You benefit, and then along with that, others around you also benefit. So you have to judge, how can I apply myself in the time that I have left? We may have longer than a few months, like that person who have been told you have a few months left to live, but we know that we don't have more than, say, 70 years. I mean, myself, I certainly only have, I don't know, I can't even say I have a couple of decades. We don't know how long we have left, but I am 68. I can't even remember my age anymore, so I know that I only have some years left. We can't really think that we'll be living forever. That's what we need to contemplate. Don't just let time pass. Do what you can. If you can, you should do retreats. If you can, you should really apply yourself so that you feel you're ready for whatever, whenever that time comes, when the dew evaporates. Your dew evaporates and moves on. So this is part of a contemplation of death and dying, isn't it? That we think of how many causes of death there are in life. It's not only COVID. It could be anything. So contemplation of that helps us to not to get stuck, not to become lazy, not to become indifferent. Then Padamba Sangha is advising us, saying, from where you are now, people of Dingri, should you lose your footing, it will be hard to find a human life again. Should you lose your footing? Now, should you lose your footing by not making use of the opportunity that you have in your life now, in terms of being positive, in terms of giving up what is negative, giving up negative actions, negative speech, negative thinking, and doing something good for yourself and for others. That's losing the footing, isn't it? And maybe even more so, we're losing our footing if we are not only are we not doing anything positive, but we are doing harmful things. We are hurting others. We are harming ourselves and others. That's losing our footing. Maybe even if it happens, one turns away from the Dharma. You think, this is not working. I've been practicing all these years and we only see faults in the Dharma. We see faults in the teachers. We see faults in Dharma practitioners. We see faults everywhere. And we end up turning away from the Dharma, which is what can help us. Then that's also losing our footing. So if that happens to us, Padamba Sangha is saying, we have this missed opportunity, and then we might not find a human life again. It may not come again. It's sort of similar to to one of the other verses that were telling us about opportunities may not come again. Your chance to eat only comes one time in 100. That's like this precious human life that is so rare. So what we should do is genuinely study the Dharma, not as intellectual study, but as a very personal path. When it says when we take refuge in the Buddha and the Dharma and the Sangha, the Dharma is the path. The Dharma means the scriptural path, the teachings of the Buddha, the teachings of all the lineage masters. But the path itself is an application of all those teachings to our own personal life. So my Dharma path is my very personal Dharma path. It's my very personal experience of the application of the Buddha's teachings. That is a bit like when you get food and you eat it and you chew it and you digest it and you become nourished by it. Then it becomes your Dharma path. If you don't chew it and digest it, then you haven't entered the path yet. If it only stays as words on the page, even words memorized, you may have all the words, you may be able to expound the Dharma very well, but if we have not gone through the process of assimilating them into our own life, then we have not completely we have sort of lost our footing. It is not the true practice, is what we're talking about, true practice, the practice of the Dharma. Simply intellectual study is not the actual practice of Dharma. We have to go through that assimilation. And unless we do that, then what Padma Pasang is saying is that then we may not find this opportunity again. We may not find a precious human birth again if we don't go through that process of assimilation and taking the Dharma as a personal path. So study, contemplate, dedicate the merit, and meditate. That's how we do that. But like I am trying to say is that it needs to be personally applied to one's own life. Then the next verse says, the Buddha's teaching is like the sun shining through clouds. People of Tingri, now is the one time it is present. Now, 21st century, 2021. Now, that means now. Now means now. Now it is the one time it is present. For us, it is present now because we have found the teachings, we have found the Dharma, we have met the teachings, we have the opportunity to practice and receive teachings. So it means the Buddha's teachings are shining, the sun, like the sun shining through the clouds. Now it's said that there are 1,000 Buddhas to come, and that Sakyamuni Buddha was the 4th Buddha. And we know that everything is impermanent, including the teachings of the Buddha. So the Sakyamuni Buddha's teachings are also impermanent. They come, they grow, they spread, they benefit many beings, and then they disappear. If you look back over the centuries, if you go to India and you visit India, or if you now go to Tibet also, you see many ruins, you see many monasteries that were once thriving centers of Dharma knowledge and study and contemplation and practice that now are nothing but ruins and history. So we are fortunate if we have the Dharma available and alive to us today. But eventually, of course, there will be a time where the Dharma is not available, and then a long period of time where there's no Dharma, and then the next Buddha will appear. So that's why now is the one time it is present. Now is a time that we are fortunate and we should apply ourselves. So he says, you say such clever things to people, but you don't apply them to yourself, people of Dengri. The faults within you are the ones to be exposed. And that's a little bit like what I was just saying, that the Dharma needs to be applied to ourselves. We should not use the Dharma to find faults in other people. If we study the Dharma and we learn about obscurations and negative emotions and negative speech and actions, and then we start to see that in everybody else but not in ourselves, then something is wrong. And if we are very good at memorizing and talking about the Dharma, but we haven't used the Dharma to tame our own obscurations, then also we're missing something. So that's what Padamba Sangha is telling us here. We should look at our own faults. We should not look at the faults of others. We should use the Dharma to tame our own mind. We cannot tame the minds of others. And we should not approach the Dharma as an intellectual study. It is something very alive. And we're so fortunate that the Dharma is alive today. So we should use it to change our own mind, be aware of our actions, be aware of our thinking and our mind states and our speech. That way we will benefit. So Padamba Sangha goes on to say, faith succumbing to circumstances is only a short step away. People of Dengri contemplate samsara's imperfections. It says that faith succumbs to circumstance. It's only a short step away. Like it's only a short step away that our faith dissolves. We need to develop a faith, trust in the Dharma, or confidence in the Dharma that is unshakable, really. That does not get influenced by circumstance. Our confidence in the Dharma needs to be strong, whether things are going well, whether things are easy or whether they are difficult. Not just like the wind blows, or not just sort of up and down. One moment we have faith and then we turn away, and then we criticize, and we have doubts, and then we are full of devotion. So that sort of instability, we should try to tame our mind, but not developing blind faith, but by again using the means and methods in the Dharma to analyze and to contemplate and to see for ourselves and come to some clear recognition of the way things are and the way our mind works, and how to then, what are the remedies and how do we apply those remedies. So our faith become very stable, recognizing the unstable or impermanent nature of things, contemplating the four thoughts, contemplating dukkha, dissatisfaction, the stressful nature of existence, underlying suffering of samsara. So then our faith becomes very stable and confident, strong. That's what Padamba Sangha is saying here. Contemplate samsara's imperfections. Contemplate the four thoughts. The four thoughts of precious human birth, impermanence, suffering of samsara, and cause and effect. It says, frequenting bad friends is bound to make your own behavior negative. People of Dengri, abandon any friendships that are negative. And he says, frequenting virtuous friends is bound to make your own good qualities arise. People of Dengri, follow your spiritual teachers. So I think this is quite clear. He's saying we are influenced. We are all influenced by our surroundings. We are influenced in a positive way. We are influenced in a negative way. We are all quite weak in that way. Even just simply giving up smoking, giving up drinking, giving up certain foods is very difficult for many people. So giving up our negative ways of thinking is even harder. We have had them for lifetimes and lifetimes, our negative habits. But what we should try to do is have positive influence. We should try and be in the right environment, have the right friends, and have the right circumstances and influences. So it doesn't mean that we need to abandon anyone as such, but we should recognize our own weakness and how we get influenced, and that we have it is important for us to be influenced in a positive way. And that until we are stronger ourselves, it is important to stay away from negative influences, otherwise we cannot tame our own mind. So we should look at ourselves and know our own habits, observe our own habits. We should recognize what is positive, what is negative. And we should also look and say, ask ourselves, am I a good influence on others? Am I a positive influence? Am I a negative influence? Do I have a positive or negative influence on others? In my speech, in my actions, even just a few words can sow a negative seed in someone's mind, can sow a doubt in someone's mind. A few positive words can sow a positive seed in someone's mind. So we should try and be careful with speech, careful with our actions, avoid the negative and apply the positive. Have a positive motivation. Follow good friends, follow good advice. Then we will benefit. And he says, deception and lies deceive not only others, but yourself as well. People of Tingri, take your own conscience as witness. So he's saying that we can't deceive. We might be able to deceive others, but we can't deceive ourselves. We know our own mind well. We know if our mind is stable or not. We know if we are suffering or not. We know if we are practicing or not. Never mind what others say about us. Never mind how well we appear on the externals. It says, take your own conscience as your witness. It's a little bit like in the Tonglen teachings. It says, out of the two witnesses, rely on the main one. The two witnesses is everyone else, and then your own mind, your own conscience, your own awareness. So never mind how much we are praised, we know our own weaknesses and how wild or how tamed our mind is. And we should check that. We should, each day, we should check that. And we should make strong resolutions to be mindful, to practice a dharma, and to bring that from morning till night into all of our activities.